The 7 levels of Premier League goalkeepers explained. Level 1, the benchwarmer, aka the vibes guy. When you hear the term benchwarmer, your mind always thinks about it in a negative light. But what if I told you being a backup keeper is probably the best job in the world? Obviously, I'm talking about keepers in terms of professionally. If you're not a pro and you're a second or third choice keeper, that's just sad, bro. Sorry to break it to you, but it might be time to fill out a job application to your local McDonald's. But if you're a pro and you're the third choice keeper, well, that's a whole different story. Let me give you the best example I can. Scott Carson. He left Man City at the end of last season after being at the club for 6 years, and in those 6 years, guess how many appearances he made? If you said 2, you would be right. And to be fair, he cooked both those games, making a penalty save against Newcastle and keeping a clean sheet against Sporting in the Champions League. But what makes his job the best job in the world, you ask? Well, he gets to enjoy the perks of being a pro footballer without actually having to play football. From the time he joined Man City to the time he left, they was probably the best team in the world. And that means for that time he got to enjoy this beautiful facility, hang out with some of the best players in world football, win a lot of trophies, and make millions without having to move a single muscle, without the pressure and scrutiny of the fans and the media. Like, come on, bro, name me a better lifestyle than that. And the fact that he was a third choice meant that most of the time he wasn't even on the bench. He was at his house watching the game just like us. But the difference is he gets paid millions to do so. Add on to the fact that he was universally loved in the Man City dressing room, from Pep to even the janitors. So yeah, if you ever ask me what my dream job is and I say third choice keeper for Manchester City, don't be surprised. Level 2, the flop, aka Mr. Unreliable. So this level is a little tricky because I want to say these guys are complete duds, but let's be real, they're not great either. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think is the most expensive keeper of all time? It's Kepa. Yep, you heard me right. Kepa. Chelsea signed him for 80 million back in 2018, and since then, the moment he's most known for is this one right here.
He's determined. It's a war of wills at the moment between the goalkeeper and his manager, but you know who the boss is.
But don't get me wrong, in no way, shape or form is Kepa a bad player. I mean, it shows in his career. Decent at Madrid, good at Bournemouth, and from what we've seen at Arsenal so far, very solid. But let's be honest, if you're gonna build a winning team, Kepa is nowhere near the starting lineup. He kind of reminds me of Darwin Núñez a little bit. You might be asking, oh, Takovi, how are you comparing a striker and a keeper? Shh, let me cook. See, Darwin Núñez is a striker that when it comes to things like tap-ins and easy chances, he seems to always be missing them. But let him get the ball 20 yards from goal and cutting in after beating a defender. That shit is going straight top bins. And I feel like Kepa is like that too. He makes the harder saves, but when it comes to the easier long-range stuff, he struggles. I like to call these type of players backwards players. Another example of a level 2 goalkeeper though is Onana. When United signed him, he was just coming off the back of making the Champions League final with Inter, being one of the best keepers in the world. But as soon as he came to United, he became an absolute bozo. And his time at United came to an end recently, and it looks like he's back to his best form with his new team. And I mean, looking at United's results this season without him, I have a slight feeling that they regret letting him go.
What is he doing? Why is he palming it to the striker? Oh my Christ! What an idiot! What a fucking idiot in goal!
Another level 2 player I can think of is Loris Karius. He was having his best year ever, and it all came crashing down in one night. I do low-key feel bad for how his career went after this game, because he wasn't really given a chance at redemption because Liverpool ended up buying Alisson just 2 months later. Moving on though, we got level 3, the mid/low table keeper. See, all the names I mentioned in level 2 all have a common denominator. They all played for big clubs, which in return comes with the pressure of being at a big club. But the level 3 goalkeepers don't have that same level of scrutiny coming their way. They go about their business quietly while their mistakes don't get highlighted as much either. A prime example of this is Jordan Pickford. I get a lot of people don't like him, but there's no denying without Pickford, Everton would have been in the deepest, darkest corners of the championship, sharing meals with the likes of Sheffield right now. Don't get me wrong, he does have his shortcomings, and there was even a time Everton was really considering replacing him back in 2020. But let's get something right. You're not the starting goalkeeper for England for 7 years for no reason. But then again, I do get why he gets so much hate. There's a lot of weaknesses to his game, and overall there are better picks for the England #1 spot. Anyway though, any other players I would put in this level 3 category are Nick Pope for Newcastle, Ramsdale, Fabianski back in like 2020 to 2023, Ben Foster when he was at Watford, and more recently guys like Matt Sales and Verbergen. Level 4, the good goalkeepers. These are the keepers that have done amazing things in the Premier League careers, but haven't done it for a long enough time yet. Emi Martinez is one that immediately comes to mind. He's a kind of late bloomer in a sense, which means he doesn't have the longevity that some of the players we're going to talk about later have, but in the 5 years that he's been a consistent starter, he accomplished things that he wouldn't dream of in his life. From helping Aston Villa playing in the Champions League for the first time in over 40 years, to winning the Copa America and World Cup, to winning the Yashin Trophy twice, which is more than the likes of Alisson. Like, this guy was absolutely on a tear from 2020 to the present day. The next level 4 players that haven't accomplished as much as him yet, but I think in a couple of years they definitely will be up there, are 2 players that play in North London: David Raya and Vicario. Raya, since he has come to Arsenal, has been nothing short of brilliant. 2 golden boots in 23-24 and 24-25. He has over 50 clean sheets in only 2 seasons. While yes, he does have one of the best center back pairings in the world in front of him, it doesn't really take away from the fact that Raya is an amazing keeper. And I do think if Arsenal do finally win the league, it'll be with Raya in goal. I only see him getting better from here on out. Vicario too. In just the 1 year he's been in the Premier League, he's shown so much potential that it really makes me feel like he's one for the future. The great goalkeepers. Now we're getting into serious territory. Unlike some of the guys I mentioned for level 4, these guys in level 5 actually have the longevity. And not only that, but throughout their time in the Premier League, they were easily the #1 keeper for their club. And it seemed like they were never out of favor. I'm gonna give you guys 2 names. One is on the thumbnail, but the other one is a keeper a lot of you guys might have even forgot about altogether. But let's start with the most obvious one, and it's of course Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris was a keeper that spent 11 years in Tottenham and was club captain for 9 of those years, and was part of one of the best Tottenham teams to have ever been assembled under Poch. But the fact that he never won a trophy with Tottenham is what makes me put him at level 5 and not higher. Yes, they did get close on so many occasions, but I'm sorry, team accolades matter, and the players in the next level have been serial winners throughout their Premier League careers. But still though, Lloris is still one of the best not only keepers but also captains to ever play in the Premier League. The next player that we have to talk about in this category is a player that not a lot of the youngest might know, and his name is Pepe Reina. In an era where goalkeeping was all about shot stopping, Pepe Reina was probably the first goalkeeper to bring the distribution side to the Premier League. Although just like Lloris, he never won a Premier League, but he did win both team trophies and a lot of individual trophies while he was at Liverpool. He was the first goalkeeper to win 3 Golden Gloves in the Premier League history. Overall, he's just a very underrated keeper. Level 6, best in the league. This level is reserved for goalkeepers who were once or are currently the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. And with that being said, we gotta mention the current best goalkeeper in the Premier League, and who has been for a while now, Alisson Becker. Very rarely do we see a keeper be world class at shot stopping and distribution at the same time, but Alisson is the epitome of this. I mean, you're not a keeper for one of the best Premier League teams ever if you're not. And Alisson is just those type of keepers where you have 100% trust in him at all times. You need a big save from him, he got you. Even if you need a goal to secure a top 4, he got you. And he's just like his teammate Van Dijk in the aspect of, if you had to create the perfect goalkeeper in a lab, you would make Alisson Becker every single time. The next player in this category is Ederson. I feel like I don't gotta say too much for him. I mean, his accolades speak for themselves. And you know how I said Pepe Reina brought the archetype of goalkeepers who could play with their feet to the Premier League? Well, Ederson revolutionized it. The last player in this category is the one, the only, DDG. No, not that DDG. Yup, that DDG. David De Gea was the last Man United keeper to win the Premier League. And at the rate Man United are going on right now, he might genuinely be the last keeper ever to win the Premier League for United. But jokes aside, after Fergie left, it's common knowledge that the club declined. But if you were to pick one standout player in that period, it would definitely be David De Gea. And big performances like the one against Arsenal in 2017, winning the Golden Boot twice, and a whole host of trophies. If he was part of a better team, I feel like David De Gea would easily be a part of the next level. Oh yeah, also an honorable mention for this level is Joe Hart. Level 7, the GOATs. The GOATs, the legends, whatever you want to call them, these players are keepers who define an era of goalkeeping. Petr Cech is the perfect example, the definition of longevity. Most clean sheets in league history, most golden gloves in league history, and was one of the main reasons that Chelsea was such a great club in the 2000s into the 2010s. A player who rivals him as the GOAT Premier League goalkeeper is Peter Schmeichel. If Cech defined Chelsea in the 2000s, then Schmeichel defined United in the 90s. One of the biggest and most intimidating keepers of all time. Without him, United wouldn't be known today as the greatest club in Premier League history. And yeah, bro, I don't know what more to say. When you think Premier League goalkeeper, you think Peter Schmeichel. Oh, and the honorable mention for this category is another United legend, and it's Edwin van der Sar. And with that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, because best believe we are here to take over.